rabbits. You know what they look like. You know what a healthy rabbit looks like. You know all that's going on with these rabbits. Then you take one or two of their babies after they have weaned, put them in a separate cage, and you forage for them. And you are now have an A and B comparison. These are commercial grain, these are foraged fed. And you know these ones are healthy, and you can compare their movements, you compare their growth rates, and you understand, are they getting everything they need by foraging? You can tractor rabbits. You can put rabbits in the tractor, put them on the ground. That's going to lower your feed bill, but it's going to increase your time to processing. You're going to go from 10 to 12 weeks to 14 to 16 weeks before they reach about 5 to 6 pounds live weight. The other thing that you're going to expose yourself to by putting rabbits on the ground is you're going to be exposing them to parasites and viruses and bacteria that live on the ground. Coccidia, any place where there is a wild rabbit has access to, any disease that wild rabbit carries, any parasites that wild rabbit carries, can transfer to your domestic rabbits, your meat rabbits. So once again, that 6 months in a cage off the ground gives you an understanding what a healthy rabbit looks like. That way when you put them on the ground, you can say, oh, their manure, their fecal matter looks a little different. Maybe I need to check for worms. Maybe I need to check for coccidia, so that you have an understanding. Healthy rabbit in being commercially fed off the ground versus a rabbit that's foraging and on the ground. Does everybody understand what I'm getting at here? Because if you just come home and you take rabbits that have been living in a cage off the ground being fed commercial pellets their entire life, and you're like, I'm going to do this natural, and I'm going to put them on the ground, and I'm going to let them forage and be a natural rabbit. Well, they've never lived on the ground. Natural for them is a cage, being fed Purina 1, okay? If you put them on the ground, immediately, without understanding and knowing the rabbits, you are going to have dead rabbits. Because you don't know what a healthy rabbit looks like, you don't know what a sick rabbit looks like, you don't know what healthy manure looks like, you don't know what healthy urine looks like, and so you have no opportunity to understand what that rabbit's going through. And the worst thing about rabbits is that when they are sick or not feeling well or they're infested with worms or coccidia, 9 times out, I use that a lot, about 60% of the time, you don't know that there's a problem until they're dead. Because rabbits are prey animals. The last thing they do is want to show that they are injured or sick. They will do everything they can to look healthy and alive up until the moment that they're 4 legs up and dead. Because they don't want to look weak to a predator. So you have to understand what a healthy rabbit is before you start to change anything else with their housing or their diet, okay? All right, this is the homework you're going to have tonight. Write this down. Whether you're going home or you're going to just be in a tent and you're on your phone or you're at a hotel, whatever, you need to go to YouTube, and I want you to look up rabbit breeding fall off. It's not voyeurism if it's research, just to let you know. These are going to be videos of a successful rabbit breeding session and what it looks like. The very first time you see it, you're going to be, oh my. And then you're going to click down every video after that gets recommended, and you're going to be laughing hysterically.
Yeah.
You start to breed rabbits at about 6 months of age. The males are going to be able to breed much earlier than that. So are the females. However, you don't want to start too much earlier because if you do, you risk causing the doe to not continue growing, right? Because once she's bred, all of her energy is going to go into creating that life inside of her and not to growing her own body. So at 6 months of age, they're at about 80% to 85% of their full-grown weight and size, okay? So that'll give you that chance. That chance for them to grow enough to have large litters for you and have no problems in kindling. All right? But at 6 months of age, you introduce the male and the female. You always bring... This is the important part. You always bring the doe to the buck's cage, female to the boy's cage. Because the doe are very territorial. And if you put a buck in a doe's cage, in the blink of an eye, she will run under him and castrate him to protect her territory. Sounds familiar, doesn't it, guys?
My house.
All right. Yeah. She's like, whoa, what you doing here, boy? And she gets very aggressive. She grunts. She gets loud and angry, and has a high potential of running under him and ripping off his testicles. And you will have a dead buck and no bunnies in 30 days. Okay? So always doe to the buck's cage. The bucks are much more chill, right? They are much more, whatever, hey lady, good to see you, happy you're here, let's get this done, leave me alone, right? Not quite as territorial. But this is why you're going to be watching these videos tonight, because I want you to understand what a good breeding session looks like. It is a fall-off. It can be violent, it can be noisy, it can be entertaining, in a somewhat weird way, but it's funny.
It is funny.
You've seen it before, yeah. I mean, it's
hysterical.
It is funny. All right. So that's your homework tonight. Once a breeding session has occurred and it's been successful, you're looking at a gestation period of 28 to 32 days. Can they go earlier? Not normally. Can they go longer? Yes. We've had a doe kindle at 40 days before, after a breeding session, because science tells us that even if there has been no fertilization of the egg, the sperm can survive for up to 5 days in the female. So if fertilization doesn't occur the first day, the boys are still swimming around until fertilization occurs, or until they die off after that 5th day. So that's why, gestation is 32 days normally. However, if fertilization doesn't occur until the very end of that 5 days, if you're looking at almost 40 days before you have babies. The other thing is that doe, the female rabbit, does not go into heat. They are on-demand ovulators.
Wow.
The male ejaculate contains a protein that triggers ovulation in the female rabbit. They have what's called a bifurcated uterus. Their uterus has 2 horns, and each horn can support a large number of babies, and each horn can be inseminated by different males, and each horn can give birth separately.
Wow.
They can deliver separately. So if you have a doe who gets bred by one buck one day, 4 days later is bred by another buck, 32 days, she'll have the first set of babies, and potentially 5 days later have the other set of babies out of the other uterine horn. They are amazing creatures. They were created for having babies. Okay? All right. So all you have to do then, when you know that they're close to giving birth, give them a nesting box and some straw, and they will do everything else. They will make the nest. They will pull fur to line the nest, have the babies, clean them, good to go, bippity-boppity-boo. All right. Now we've come to the point where we are going to go ahead and do a processing demonstration. I am going to ask 2 things. Number one, if this is something you are not ready to see, you are free to leave. Okay? I do not, there's no hard feelings. Okay? I understand this is sometimes an odd thing to see. And also, if you do want a closer look, I do ask you, if you are in the back row, you can come and stand a little bit, but stay off to the sides. Let's try to make sure that we don't block anybody's view.
Before you do that,
Yep.
can you tell if they've been bred if you haven't watched them fall off?
Some people can. I'll be honest with you, in raising rabbits for almost 10 years now, I've never been able to palpate a doe and know whether or not she's been bred.
Okay, so you really have to sit there and watch.
You
have to?
Yeah, it's best to. But there are some people who are able to palpate the doe on her abdomen, and they say it feels like a cluster of grapes in there at about 2 weeks of gestation.
Okay.
All right. So the reason why rabbits have taken over as our white meat that we raise on our property is because, in all honesty, I like raising them. And as much as I don't like killing an animal, I prefer processing a rabbit over processing a chicken any day. Any day. I can go from this to eating a rabbit without any problems. There's virtually no smell at processing. The waste is very minimal. And the tools that are necessary, honestly, if I had to, I could process this rabbit right now with my bare hands. And still it would not suffer, and I would still come out with a fairly clean carcass. I could do just a knife, and I'm good. However, the tools that we choose, we have a knife. I have a small set of lopping shears that we use to take the feet off. We use two of our tools that we make. This is a cervical dislocation tool. It is one that I use my body weight, gravity, and a little bit of muscle to get a little tug on the rabbit, and that separates the spinal column from the brainstem, so the death is instant for them. And then we have our hangers, our processing gambrels that we use, so we can hang them up, so we can decapitate and let them bleed out a little bit. Now, one thing I want you guys to understand is that I do not enjoy this one bit. I have processed thousands of rabbits, and right now I'm talking more from my heart than I am because I actually want you to know this information, because it takes me a second to get myself ready. I can talk in front of a crowd of thousands of people, but the moment I have to kill an animal, I get a little nervous. So
your rabbit is really calm.
Bear with me. Yeah,
just letting you know that.
Yeah, they don't. I mean, as long as you're supporting them, they're really chill. They're really chill. I'm more nervous than it is because it doesn't know what's coming. So with our equipment that we have set up, normally I'll have this maybe attached to a tree. I had it attached to my kid's swing set for about 4 years. Don't ask. It doesn't take a tree. You put it on a tree, put it on the side of a shed, on a fence post. Some people like to have it on the ground. I like it up here so that I can do everything standing up. Personally, I would even have it a little higher if this was just for me, but we teach others how to use this, and so this height is average for most people to be able to process a rabbit. There are other methods of cervical dislocation. You can find those on YouTube as well. One is called the broomstick method. Well, another one is called the choke chain method. We prefer this method because I don't have to bend over. Everything's right at a working height, and it takes little to no strength. Yes?
Are you okay with the videotape?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I have, on our YouTube channel, I already have a processing video out there. I don't talk as much before I process because there's a camera. I can just shut the camera off and get myself ready for this. Yes, sir?
Is there any specific angle with your...
You're welcome to come take a picture afterwards. Just because I make and sell these doesn't mean that I don't care. I mean, you guys are welcome to come take pictures and make your own.
For the head, holding the head, right? I know you
put it
there and you drop it down, but...
Sure. Yeah, there is. Just one where the head doesn't pop out.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just got to come to a tight enough bead where the head doesn't pop out. So, okay, I think I'm ready now.
I hope I can do this.
So at this point, all I'm going to do is the rabbit's going to face away from me, like this. Head's going to slide in with the ears facing towards me. I'm going to wrap my hand up around, grab it by the scruff and by its rear legs. Now, there's two things to understand is that death throes will still occur, just like any animal when it dies. And at this point is fairly bloodless, as long as I don't pull too hard. Right? There's that risk of not pulling enough, and then you just have to reset and do it again. But I still have control of the animal the whole time. This is why I don't like using a pellet gun or a .22, because if you put it on the ground, it's munching on the grass, and you shoot, and it does not die the first hit, you're not getting a second shot.
Yeah.
It's squealing, it's running, it's all over the place. This way, I always have control of the rabbit, and I can always get a second pull if I don't get it right the first time, and I have full and complete control of the animal, okay? All right. I'm going to grab the back legs with my right hand because I'm right-handed. So grab it. Easy. So I do it much faster when it's just me and I'm not explaining what I've got going on. Easy, easy, easy. Okay. So head goes in.
Oh, good.
Come around back here and that's it. Okay, and it's dead.
Aww.
You can tell. You can touch the eye and there's no response. No animal on earth that's alive will allow you to touch its eye and not react. So There are throws at this point. I always kind of just hold it, let the throws go through. If you lay it on the ground, it's going to flop around and get dirty, could get wet, things of that nature. I don't want that to happen. Right? Yeah, teaching classes, I had one 12-year-old lady, 12-year-old girl. She pulled so hard the head went flying.
Oh my God.
It happens.
Shit.
So just, he's completely dead. This is just called throws. These are just nerve responses, nerve impulses going on. All right? So once it's calmed down a little bit, we will put it up here in our gambrel. Now, the reason why I designed this gambrel is because I got tired of one of the other ones, because every time I put the rabbit in, one foot would fall out. But this way, I have control of it. I can put just the toes in, I can put the leg all the way down, and the harder I pull, the stronger it grips. Right? So I can pull any direction I want to while I'm processing the rabbit. All right? So from here, take my knife. I'm going to find the base of the skull, and it's just one quick throw, because I've already separated the spinal column. So there's this huge gap here with no bone. So we're going to make sure we go through, and that's it. It's a very simple process. Look, if you just grab a couple paper towels for me. Normally I have a hose, keep things clean while I'm going here. Now, are there any drawbacks to using this method of dispatch? Yes, there is. The one is that if you are not somebody that can hold the animal while it's dying, this is going to be rough for you. Okay. The other is that cervical dislocation does cause some bruising around the neck. So if you are creating carcasses that you're going to be selling, you do lose a little bit of meat when you're cleaning up the carcass. And you'll see that here when we get to the end. All right? Okay, first of all, anybody smell anything? No, you won't. All right, so from here, we're going to turn around. Anybody ever processed a deer or a large animal? These are just small deer. So, all right, we're just going to go ahead and make a Y cut and go around the legs. I'm going to use my fingers first just to kind of get started. Pull the meat away from, the fur away from the bone a little bit. We'll go around. It's always harder when you're trying to show other people how to do it, right? All right. Just like everything else, always cut away from yourself as much as you can. There are some times where you cannot, right? Now, and the younger the rabbit is, the easier it's going to be to skin, because all of that connective tissue between the hair, the fur, and the meat, the pelt and the meat, is not quite as mature. And once you get to a certain point here, it's going to be no different than just pulling off a wet sock after a trip of a canoe down the river. Right? Just a little bit of resistance, right? Use my hand once again, kind of create a channel here. Yeah, we're a little behind schedule here. Everybody all right, though? Yep. The next tent's not that far away. All right. So you can see this is a boy. These are his testicles right here. Right. We're just going to kind of work on that tissue here a little bit. And try to get these legs done. So once you are well versed in rabbit processing, a couple minutes of rabbit at most. And the best thing about rabbit is that, for those of you that raise chickens, can you do just one and come back a couple weeks later and do one more, and then come back a couple weeks later and do one more when you need it? No. You have to process them all, freeze them all at once. Because after a few weeks, they get so big, they're just not great, right? And from here, we're just going to come through, go through the tail. This is where it's that wet sock. Whoa. So once again, younger rabbits, that skin was attached right there, so connective tissue. And usually, there we go. Now, oh, broke my screw. You know what? I bent that in the trailer. I was wondering if that was going to happen. That's all right. All right, we'll just do this. All right, so broke my screw. Here, Luke. Hold the feet. 2 hands. course, the one time you guys are all videoing, that's when I had a failure. You know, something told me to replace that screw, but whatever, it is what it is. I bent it, put it in the trailer, and I'm like, oh, I don't need to worry about that. Just bend it back. This is why we don't construct things with screws, people. They don't have shear strength like nails do. Just so you know, build all your stuff with nails. Unless they're a construction-rated, shear-rated screw. All right, so to take off the front feet, we're just going to use the clippers here. Go right through that bone and come through, and that's it. All right, put it back on the hanger now. All right. Normally you got to do a little slit in there to get the guts open, but this is a self-opening rabbit here today. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and go with it now that it's self-opening. All right. So we did withhold food and water for a little bit, but once we're at this point, it's just like a deer. Now we're going to do that cut around the anus here in order to release it, and then score the hip bones, the pelvic bones, crack the pelvis, and I just got a little bit of connective tissue here. These kids are loud. Man, don't they know people are trying to learn stuff? All right, get that connective tissue around the anus here, and pull that down. All right, so now, how many of you like liver pate? Like liver? All right, so rabbit has one of the largest livers versus body size. So percentage of liver size to body size of any animal out there, because they are a ground-dwelling animal. So that is the liver right there. Look how large that liver is. I mean, that's the size of like 3 or 4 chicken livers. And that's the life of a ruminant. Now, everything in here is edible. Everything in here, other than the intestines, well, although I'll even tell you this little caveat, is that rabbit manure is, number one, great for you to go straight on your garden. It is not a hot manure. It's a cold manure. Go straight on your garden. The other good thing about it is that it is full of probiotics. So, if your dog's having some issues, feed them a little rabbit manure. They love it anyway. It's like peanut butter chips to them, chocolate chips to them, right? If you've ever had your dog around rabbits, they just follow the rabbit around and wait for it to drop things and go for it. So, whoops. All right, and then once we get to this point, it's just a matter of, we're going to remove it from its legs here, its feet, give it a little quick rinse, and it's going to go into some ice water and sit for about 4 to 6 hours. I've got ice water with a little bit of salt in it, and that's going to help pull out that blood, right? All right, so I'm going to come around. So, whoops, forgot about the speaker. All right, give that a sniff for me. Smell anything?
Can't smell it.
Chicken processors? Who's processed chickens before? All right, so if you've never processed a rabbit before, any smell? No. So I can throw this on a grill right now and enjoy it, as opposed to a chicken. I cannot handle chicken smell. I just can't do it. It smells. Rabbit is, and I don't want to squeal at you. Rabbit is a very lean white meat. When you're